Hey guys, welcome back. I'm just going to share some tips with you today on how you might be able to overcome the fears of your pillion passenger when it comes to getting on the back of the bike with you and going for a ride. It was inspired by my missus, a discussion I had with her, talking about how she overcame her fear of being a pillion. And she did have a real fear of getting on the back of the bike. Full disclosure, bit of a disclaimer, I'm not a professional by any means. I'm not telling you how to ride with a passenger on. I'm not telling you to ride with a passenger. First and foremost, motorcycle riding is my hobby. So I take responsibility for myself. It has to be someone's choice to get on the bike with me. So that is number one thing for me. So in my day job, I have some experience dealing with people's fears and unconscious behavior. So it's not uncommon for someone to have a fear of something but not know why. And in my partner's case, she had a fear of being a pillion passenger that wasn't really rational, though she said that she had some bad experience in the past. From her logical mind, it didn't really make sense to her. So when you understand how the mind works, our conscious mind makes very few decisions for us. Most of the decisions we make are subconscious, or I call them unconscious decision making. So let me give you some tips how to overcome those unconscious fears. Number one, always make it that person's choice. So in my example, I said to myself, I enjoy biking, I enjoy riding, and I put it to my partner that if she would enjoy it too, maybe we could do something together. Maybe we could go for rides together, maybe we can enjoy it together. But I'm not putting pressure on her to do it. It's very important that you just ask for what you want, but you're not trying to manipulate the other person into doing it. It has to be their choice. You leave the ball in their court, and if they say no, to me, you have to respect that. To me, you have to say, well, I take my life in my own hands. I don't expect someone else to do the same. So once you've established in a calm and rational manner that it is their choice and that you're going to do everything that you can to make them feel good about the experience, you then ask them what their concerns are, what their needs are. So you're kind of asking their logical mind, which makes them ask the question, what are they actually worried about? And more often than not, they're not actually worried about anything. They're just nervous about the initial experience. I'm going to talk about that later. All along the way, you should be respecting how your partner feels. If at any point you start putting pressure on them, manipulating them, making fun of them, it's just going to make things worse. Remember, it's not coming from a rational point of view. It's coming from an irrational fear. Probably the same fear that you had the first time you jumped on a bike and rode it. Although men and women are very different, men usually approach things head on, jump in feet first, jump in the deep end. Women are far more cautious. They need a few boxes ticked before they take action. It's just the way they work. So if you respect your partner's wishes, if you've made sure it's their choice, ask them at least 3 times or more, then it's time to make a plan. These are the 5 tips that I'm going to share with you that I learned from doing research that really helped and that made it a very smooth transition to riding. First of all is gear them up. Make sure they have the gear that they need. Right? Your passenger should be wearing a helmet at the very least, the jacket, gloves, and some kind of protective footwear. Okay? Now, me personally, we went out and shopped for a helmet. It doesn't make sense it didn't make sense to me to go out and drop $1,000 on a Shoei or a name brand helmet without knowing that she was going to enjoy it. Because then you've got the hassle, you can't take helmets back. So what we chose to do was get a better quality budget helmet, if you like, what I call the budget brands. So we chose a HGC helmet that was around the $300 mark, and you can kind of wear the cost of that if they don't like it, or you can sell it and not lose too much money. But what I felt was important, and what they tell you is important, is to wear a jacket with a bit of protection, and we got the gloves. She chose just to wear her hiking boots for the test rides. Now that she enjoys it, we'll invest in a better set of boots. So why is this important to go through the process with them? I mean, I spent more time finding her helmet and her jacket than I did finding mine. But why is this important? Because really it comes down to, on an unconscious level, it doesn't matter what you say. Women will always listen to your actions. They'll always look at your actions, and your actions count. Your words do not mean a thing. Okay? It's just the way they're wired. They'll, on a logical level, they'll listen to your words, but it's your actions that count. So if you invest time, and especially if they know you don't like shopping, if you invest time in them, they know that you're taking it serious. They know that you're taking their safety as a number one priority. So it's very important to spend a bit of time in this process and not just rush through it. Like I said, I spent more time selecting her helmet and her trying on different helmets till she felt absolutely comfortable, and I felt that she was as safe as she possibly could be. The number 2 tip that I learned was learn about weight distribution. Because when you ride by yourself, you get away with a lot of things that you don't get away with when you have a passenger. So when you add a pillion, it's going to obviously increase the weight of your motorcycle, but it's also going to make it handle a little bit differently, depending on the kind of bike you've got. If you've got a big cruiser, if you've got a big bruiser of a bike, a big tank, it's not going to make a huge difference. But if you have a smaller or a mid-sized bike, it will make a big difference. So keep that in mind. What I liked to do was go through dry runs. I saw this, I learnt this from someone else on YouTube. I thought it was a great idea. Get on the bike, just stationary, and we went through some dry runs. I explained what I needed her to do, where I wanted her to sit. I felt like how the suspension was sitting, how the bike sagged. I looked at all those things before we even started the engine. So get your weight distribution right, and that's going to make them feel safer. Which brings me to the next point. It's a great tip, most instructors will tell you, is have clear communication with your passenger. Make sure that they know that when you're about to start or stop, especially if you're going to do a sharp turn, give them some kind of indication, and communicate that to them when you do your pre-runs, right? Get them used to it. Your first ride isn't going to be, a hellish twisty ride. It's going to be easy, and we're going to talk about that later in the video. But make sure they get used to your body language, the way that you ride. That's all communication as well. But communicate at the pre-run what's going to happen, where you're going to go, what to expect. Do as much communication as you can. If you don't have like a headset, like a Sena, or some kind of communication that you can talk to each other, learn some kind of hand signals, teach them how to read your body language. Yeah, it's always better to have a headset, but hey, I don't have one as yet, and we communicate fine. That brings me to the next tip: smooth riding. Yeah, nothing puts someone off as much as them headbutting your back every time when you keep stopping, or them flying backwards when you take off. This was a big surprise to me. I didn't think I was a super smooth rider, but I didn't realize how aggressive or jerky my riding style was, and having someone on the back kind of makes you a lot smoother, makes you far more conscious, and we'll go into that when you take your first ride. But just make sure that your braking and accelerating is more gentle than you would normally be. Sudden movements can put people off. It can put people into shock. It's not conscious. It's their nervous system. Remember, if someone's afraid before they get on, their nervous system's primed for any kind of shock. So the subtlest little shock to their system is going to set them off. So you really need to baby them along. And the beauty of going easy the first time around is that you are training their nervous system and you're training their subconscious mind, not their logical mind. So it's important that you take these kind of steps. The last tip that I learned really helped me was practice. So I did a dry run, we did communication, we did a dry run, we did just getting on and off the bikes. The simplest things have to be taught. Don't assume that everyone knows how to get on and off a bike. Don't assume that everyone knows not to touch the exhaust. It might be common sense to you. When someone's got a lot going through their head, they don't think with common sense. You know, people that kind of get sort of semi-hysterical with things or focused on things, common sense goes out the window. Like, they're fearing for their life. And as ridiculous that sounds to you, that's what a part of their system says to themselves. Their life is in danger, so you have to prove to them that it's not. So this is what it comes down to. This first ride that you take, this practice ride, is very, very, very important. I hope you understand how important it is. Do not muck around. If you're a clown, if you're naturally a clown, stop it, right? Just for this first ride. Don't do anything silly. Don't try and showboat. Don't try and show off. Just do what I did. I basically said to my partner, I said, look, jump on. This is what we're going to do. We're just literally going around the block. And you baby that bike around the block. You learn to ride smoothly. You go around the block. You come back. What we did, we checked in. And she was like, yeah, that was great. That was fun. I want to do more. Okay, let's go for a longer ride. What do you know, and you put the ball in their court. How far do you want to go? Oh, she said like 15 minutes somewhere and 15 minutes back. I said, okay, we'll do like a 30-minute round trip. And that's kind of what we did. We did a 30 to 45-minute round trip. You can keep checking in with them. You can read their body language. If they're gripping you super tightly, maybe you're riding too aggressively. As much contact as you can have, you can tell with their body language and what they say, how comfortable they're feeling, and gauge it. So when we did the second ride, when we came back from that second ride, and I just introduced her to a few different turns, nothing crazy, mainly straight riding, but a few turns, a few dips, a few roundabouts, just getting used to being around traffic. No filtering just yet, because that does freak some people out, but you kind of just baby them into it. And the best thing that she said to me was at the end, she said, oh, towards the end I was getting a little bit bored, my mind was going elsewhere. And I was like, perfect, mission accomplished, because I wanted her to feel so comfortable that she almost got bored, because I gradually know we will get faster together, we'll be hitting freeways, we'll be doing stuff where I want her to go in from a place of calm rather than a place of already being nervous or afraid. And so after she got on that bike, she said, you know, I trusted you the whole time. And that's what you want. Doesn't matter what your relationship is off the bike, when you're getting on the bike or when someone's facing their fears, earn their trust when it comes to riding. So no showboating, no wheelings, no showing off. This video is for mature riders, so hopefully you guys are past all that. But you know, don't get tempted if they say, oh, you know, it was boring, to try and prove them wrong, because you will gradually get faster and they'll gradually enjoy it more, they'll gradually get into it, you know, and they'll push you to take them on rides to other places or go on longer trips. And just keep practicing, just keep incrementally increasing how far and the kind of riding that you do. So I hope these tips have helped you. If they did, please give the video a thumbs up. Let me know what you think. If I've missed anything, guys, if you ride with your missus all the time and you have some tips that can help, let's share it in the comments. Again, blessings to all my subscribers. ride safe, and I'll see you next time.